Welcome back. We now start with our next technical session on monetization strategies for OTT in 2019. I would like to call up on stage the chair for the session, Mr. Sachin Tummala, Managing Director, Corpus Enterprises. Sir, can we please have you on the stage? And if you could just invite all the panelists to be on the dais with you.
Good afternoon, guys. We were just joking. We have a larger panel than the audience here, but I hope we're gonna have this hall full. Yeah. So I would like to call the keynote speaker first, Ms. Archana Anand, Chief Business Officer, Z5 Global, please. I'd like to call Mr. Vaidyanathan Ramachandran, Managing Director, Kaltura Media and Telecom. Mr. Edwin VP Sales, South and Northeast Asia, Harmonic. Mr. Kevin, Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Crystal USA. Mr. Manas Ranjan, Vice President, Intertrust. Mr. Amit Kharbanda, Managing Director, MyBox. Mr. Pinakin Thakkar, CEO, Nirvana Digital. Good afternoon, guys. We'll start the session with the first keynote by Ms. Archana. Please, thank you.
Good afternoon. I think I've got a very dubious honor in that I might be among the only people globally who has actually managed 4 OTT platforms and driven from conceptualization to launch 3, which puts me in an enviable position of knowing monetization challenges with more pain than most people. And therefore, what I'm going to try and do over the next couple of minutes is to set as much context as possible for all of you about the journey I've had during these 4 launches and sort of leave enough food for thought and conversation for the very elite panel that you have following up to then engage in a very rich discussion, hopefully. So yes, here are some very familiar headlines that all of us see every day. Netflix is fueling its ballooning cash burn with a $2 billion in new debt. Disney's streaming losses are piling up already. Spotify's IPO filing shows how hard it is to make money from streaming subscriptions. Hotstar posts near 20% increase in losses at rupees 489 crores in FY17. Hulu is on track to lose $1.5 billion in 2018. And at the same time, while we're seeing all of this gloom and doom in terms of headlines in the market, we're also seeing another kind of headline. Headlines such as these. Paytm to enter the crowded OTT space forms content partnerships. Apple OTT service coming to over 100 countries in 2019 report. AT&T will launch a new OTT service next year featuring HBO to compete with Netflix and Disney. Shimaru's OTT service, Shimaru Me, is slated to launch in Q1 of 2019. As viewership spikes, OTT players are going to invest 2,500 crores in content in the next 3 years. Walmart owned Flipkart to launch a video streaming service in India. And then, back home, even Doordarshan plans to have its own OTT platform. So the question is, what are we missing? Has the whole world just gone mad? Why are the biggest and brightest companies all jumping into a loss pool? What's the story? Let's dive in and understand why. monetizing OTT, my attempt to try to make a little bit of sense of what appears to be a lot of nonsense. It is because, very simply put, our collective eyeballs have moved to that little device in our hand. Nothing more sophisticated, nothing more complex. At the core of all of this hullabaloo is a very simple consumer phenomena. The fact that today, all of us are watching content in that little device that all of us have either in our pockets or in our handbags. It's become that little device has become our most used screen for content consumption. It's because we've gotten used to the comfort of watching content anytime, anywhere. In industry parlance, the eyeballs have moved to digital. That's the phenomena that's causing all of this that we are actually seeing around us. For content companies, much like mine and many others, this new reality requires a mindset shift, where digital then ceases to be a vertical, given how core it is to the business. And when I say it ceases to be a vertical, the moment something exists as a vertical within a company, it's obviously going to be judged as such. You have to then show profits in the short term with a clear timeline, and that is what justifies your existence in the company as a vertical. So I'm actually questioning the concept of it being vertical and saying that digital, in my mind, then moves from being a vertical needing to justify its existence in isolation to a horizontal running across all aspects of our business. Digital is no longer a vertical, my friends. It is core to our existence, and so it runs across everything. I mean, today in our organization, I have a broadcast vertical, I have a radio vertical, I have an events vertical, I've got a film production vertical, I have a musical vertical, I've got a theater vertical. All of this can exist on a digital platform, and therefore, technically, it is then a horizontal. If it is a horizontal, then one needs to ensure that it's treated as such and nurtured over time without putting pressure on it to show profits in the short term, right? Investments into digital can't be seen from the perspective of immediate monetization only. Furthermore, this journey to profitability is also much impacted by the highly dynamic nature of the digital ecosystem. One of the jokes that all of us have as heads of business in the digital space is the concept of a traditional 5-year plan. When I don't know how my ecosystem is going to transform in the next 3 to 6 months, it is the most ludicrous thing to actually create a 5-year business plan. It doesn't stop anybody. We still go through the absolute ludicrous exercise year on year on year, but it is something that makes no sense to anybody who understands the dynamics of a digital business. There has been so much disruption in the last year and a half, 2 years. If you just remember, just in this country, the kind of ecosystem for digital about a year and a half ago, and now, it has been transformational. I mean, unless all of us are mini Nostradamuses, it would be really difficult for us to predict with a singular amount of clarity how the business will progress and therefore what the business will look like. But, you know, this is just to give you a sense of how we do business today and why it makes such little sense. With this background, let me take you through my own OTT journey and life as we know it in this space. So I've put on 3 brand names up there: Ditto TV, OZ, and then Z5. Ditto TV was a pioneer in its space. It launched in 2012. It was the first OTT in this country. It was a pioneer when Z launched it. In my own head, I think, you know, despite launching Ditto, we still were way ahead of our time. The ecosystem was far from there. In 2012, you did not have infrastructure. You did not have bandwidth, was extraordinarily expensive, and digital payment wasn't there. So it was a struggle. Subsequently, Ditto TV was a live TV OTT. Subsequently, we relaunched it in 2016 as Bscar TV, which was a phenomenal success. I was talking to some of the panelists earlier. It was, we first crashed the price to 20, which made it very comfortable to sit in the telco wallet, where people have a balance of 15 bucks or so. People are very comfortable with telco payments. We tied up with all the 4 key leading telcos in this country. That was Airtel, Reliance, Vodafone, and Idea. The model that we actually had with the telco was where the telco was giving it free to the consumer, bundling with their data packs, and we were getting money from the telco. It was an extremely successful kind of partnership. It set the, we set the benchmark for telco partnerships in the future, and that was a hugely successful business model. I'll tell you a little more about it later. And then we launched Z5, which was by then saying that, let's do away with all our OTT platforms that we've done till date and have one big platform, which is Z5, into which all our content will roll in, both India and globally. On February 14th, I launched Z5 in India. So that's in terms of saying that the experience has been across live television, across an SVOD platform, an AVOD platform, and a freemium platform. So really, like I said, experience across live TV, VOD, live plus VOD, SVOD, AVOD, TVOD, and freemium. For those of you who these words are just jargon, they're just business terms in terms of business payment models. SVOD is a subscription model, AVOD is an advertisement-driven VOD model, TVOD is transactional VOD, we are paying sachet pack pricing for a single piece of content. And then we launched Z5 in India on February 14th, and then globally across 190 countries on October 2nd, which then again, expands the experience from both India to global. So, like I said, we were pioneers of in India in 2012, but at that time, these were the things that plagued us. Low internet penetration, very high data costs, largely a 2G market which was struggling with 3G, extremely poor bandwidth, and a payment ecosystem that was practically unknown. The low volumes made monetization a definite challenge for us. And then, in end 2016, the big thing happened. Jio launched, and the market dynamic changed for the video consuming industry forever, right? What happened then? Data prices started crashing. From 200 rupees per GB, we were now talking to a paltry 6 rupees per GB, right? What else happened? There were other key things that happened in the ecosystem. Improved bandwidth speeds, increasing internet and smartphone penetration in smart towns, falling smartphone prices, and an evolving digital payment ecosystem, which a lot of us might agree was helped along when demonetization accelerated the rate of acceptance and adoption. It wasn't a choice. Overnight, the smallest of vendors suddenly had to do a quick learn. It was the fastest learning of digital that could have happened because you simply were left with no choices. And suddenly, Paytm was everywhere. And everybody learned about the digital payment system. So all of these things, either in deliberate ways or in covert ways, actually accelerated the monetization of OTT and video consumption. And so the audiences grew exponentially, and Middle India started coming online in droves, right? This is what happened. This audience was increasingly mobile first. Online content consumption exploded as an outcome, right? The market started hotting up. In 2017, India became the world's second biggest smartphone market. The large audience potential started attracting global players and increasing competition from existing players. You had Netflix really ruling its roost and coming here to stay in India. You had Amazon Prime coming in the largest way, and many other players all saying that, you know what, India is a potentially huge market. We must have an India strategy or we're losing our plot. This was a result of all of these things that were happening in the ecosystem, right? And it's also my indication to you why, despite all of those gloom and doom headlines, people are still persisting with OTT. Because with the kind of population we have here, and with all of the change we're seeing in this ecosystem, it's potentially a huge market. OTT was poised to grow at a CAGR of 30% over the next 5 years, which is a huge growth rate. It is this evolving and increasingly complex ecosystem into which we launched Z5 in February of last year. But even in such a conducive ecosystem, the challenges remain many. A fickle consumer who's now very spoiled for choice. He's got far too many options. He's got great content coming out of multiple players, right? Content costs are going through the roof. For those of us who want to actually populate our OTT platforms with content now, content is more expensive than ever before because some of the big multinationals with very deep pockets have come and splurged on buying content. Suddenly, it's more expensive than you imagined, right? But the flip side is, for content creators, life has become greater than ever before. Young boys and girls are creating content and suddenly have an ability to actually have their content seen by audiences. They do not have to wait. There's no casting couch. There's no big director. They don't have to wait forever to see that, the movie will see light of day. You create a little short film, you create a long film, and there's somebody who will actually take it onto a platform, and you know what? It might be the next big hit. So it was a wonderful time for content creators. But also increasing were the spends on marketing and technology. Hugely expensive, definitely bleeding us, further squeezing more margins for the OTT players. And interestingly, competition's adding on, not just from other OTT players. So while we're sitting smugly and saying, my God, there are another 5 new guys who've come, unfortunately for the OTT guys, the competition is not coming just from OTT. Suddenly, the competition is coming from everywhere. The lines are blurring, and this is what you are seeing. The new phenomena of our times is an increasingly converged entertainment ecosystem where the lines are blurring. What are you seeing? Why Hulu is key for Disney, Comcast in a multi-billion-dollar Fox fight. Game On, Facebook, Google, and Amazon are coming for your TV sports. Here's why AT&T decided to buy Time Warner, according to CEO Randall Stephenson. Suddenly, everybody is in the content game. So, earlier, we had a situation where traditionally the telco was your pipe, the media house provided you content, and social was a means of engagement. Today, everyone is in the content game, and everyone is wooing the end consumer. We compete with all of them. We're competing with Facebook, we're competing with Twitter, on which you can see video, we're competing with the telcos, we're competing with a whole plethora of people, all of whom are giving us a run for the money. OTT advertising is yet to establish itself as an important monetization component. It's getting there, it's not yet there. The reason is, while digital advertising is just 17% of total ad spends, the shift from offline to online spends has been more gradual. Most CMOs of large traditional companies are traditional. They're old school, right? They're still spending the bulk of their money on traditional means of advertising. That mind shift hasn't still happened. I think it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago when I remember the CEO of Adidas putting out a headline saying that the next year his entire budget for digital spends, for Adidas was going onto the digital platform. And he had a very clear thought. He said, Adidas, I'm selling my shoes, it's for a millennial audience. My millennial audience in first world countries is not watching traditional television, I'm very sure. I'm very sure that all of them are on a digital platform and that's where I'm putting my money. That was a first. And that when he actually made that declaration. It's been a long time since then. The mind shift is happening, but it hasn't happened completely. It's a journey. OTT players seem to have taken different routes to tackle these challenges, like offering differential revenue models based on the ecosystem and the market's affinity to pay. So OTT over the top, we've got SVOD, AVOD, TVOD, and hybrid. You've got different players under each heading, as you well know. Partnering with telcos and creating a symbiotic relationship. Telcos partnering with OTT players to drive consumption, which video guzzles obviously, and OTT players partnering with telcos to quickly drive scale for the last mile consumer reach was another new phenomena we were seeing all over. We pioneered this, like I said, with Ditto. You can see those headlines, and we were very gladdened when we saw those headlines. Bharti Airtel partners with Ditto TV to counter Reliance Jio TV. Ditto TV partners with Idea for entertainment app, Idea Movie Club. Those were the headlines back in 2016. They were the first in its time. But since then, a trend that we began, we've seen a humongous amount of partnerships. Vodafone and Amazon Prime, iFlix, everybody's tying up with the telco to actually take it to the last mile consumer. Today we see it everywhere. Other monetization strategies adopted, digital only. All of you have probably read the news that Star channels are going to be available only on Hotstar in the US. Owning the distribution pipe, Jio owning the last mile distribution through stake and a buy in Hathway and Den. That's a strategy. Pricing, innovations in pricing where we're actually going into language packs. Why should you have an all-you-can-eat? You want only Bengali content? Buy only Bengali content pack. You want only South Indian content? You want only Tamil content? Buy a Tamil content pack. Those are all strategies. Increased engagement to drive traffic for AVOD, recommendations, and content notification reminders. Targeted notifications to consumers to increase engagement. Offline distribution. In a country such as ours, there is a still huge potential for digital to be sold through the offline route. So especially important in developing markets, tie-ups with retailers, where you're giving them a promo code, you're typing in the code, and you're subscribed. Clearly lots to do and lots to achieve. However, let's not be caught unawares and have the rug pulled from beneath our feet while we're so busy trying to get our OTT game in place. It's critical to stay alert and ready for the next big disruption. OTT, what's next? I just want to leave you with this thought that we're all busy. Before we knew it, OTT hit us and it's the buzzword. It's everywhere. Everybody's in the OTT space. My fear is if you're not adaptive, and if you're not aware and alert, the next thing is going to hit us and we won't even know how it happened. So I think the only thing that we can do, today we're looking at some things that we're already seeing in our ecosystem, 5G, AR, VR, machine learning, all around us, right? This one has become big, interactivity. I can see so many people, watching and engaging with Bandersnatch on Netflix, where you can decide the end of the episode. Right? And people are very excited because it's an interactive thing. People are deciding how this entire series will end. And there are different endings to it, and it's getting very exciting for consumers. Entertainment commerce. There's something called Charm Board, where you look at something within a serial, you like that top, you can buy that top immediately, right, from an e-commerce store. Immersive platforms, the world's first immersive media platform experience, right? Gaming, entertainment commerce, home environmental control. All of it is happening. So in conclusion, all I want to say is that the next big disruption is definitely coming, right? We need to stay extremely agile and adaptive. It's an exciting time for all of us. OTT is keeping us very excited and on our toes. It's happening in this country. The ecosystem is evolving. Those of us who are in the space and are lucky enough to be in companies which have deep pockets and the backbone of content creation are extremely lucky and definitely have an edge over others in terms of how well we will do in the future. But even those of us who have this backing need to stay extremely agile and adaptive because we really don't know where the next disruption is coming. With that, I hand over to the panel for a rich discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana ji. So thanks for setting the stage. You clearly gave some takeaways. Digital is no longer a vertical, but it's a horizontal. And the lines are blurring. So it sets a good context for us to kind of go to the panel. We have eminent speakers here. So we got a very diversified panel from hardware, software, content, infrastructure, right? So, my personal experience, I do have my customers looking and partnering with OTT players, OTT platforms, and OTT platforms looking at viewership. I think there is a good synergy, between bringing both the networks and the platforms together. It gives us different questions like what are the challenges in taking the OTT towards the monetization, and what are the opportunities involved. And when you talk about the challenges, the kind of QoE issues that the tech has to address, the infrastructure issues, and the opportunities like how the advanced advertising kind of a concept can be leveraged, how the social can be leveraged to improve the monetization. We're going to cover all these topics. In the interest of time, I would like to have the panel to kind of give opening remarks and any of their experience, share any of their experiences as well as knowledge with the audience. And we will have if we have time, we'll do another round of Q&A. Otherwise, we'll go to the audience Q&A. Let's give enough time for the audience to ask. So I'll start, from my right. So you can start with your opening remarks and kind of what are the challenges that you see, along with maybe you can also touch upon the opportunities too in the monetization of OTT.
Thank you. Dear all, thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about OTT and the future of how things are going to evolve under Cloud TV. I think first we have to thank Archana to have set in a wonderful context. End of the day, all this works out only when there is money on the table. And technology enablers, everything works only if you understand how you're going to make money at the end of the day here. The big things that we see evolving in the global market is, as Archana was mentioning before, there was a decade when the OTT was becoming the buzzword. So around what we call the OTT decade, as we see inside the company, is around 2007 when the Netflix and Hulu started coming in, and OTT was one of the offerings as a side service to the main pay TV services. From 2007 to 2017, we saw a gradual shift with multiple experiments happening. There were TV Everywhere solutions, there were skinny bundles, there were direct-to-consumer opportunities. Both media companies and pay TV operators looked at different ways and experimenting. 2017 is when we started to see a transition in how customers were looking at as OTT becoming a mainstream solution and almost delivering pay TV kind of experience using infrastructure. So if you're investing so much, you might as well see how to leverage this to offer mainstream services along with it. And as we heard before, content costs are going through the roof. So what customers and what operators are looking at is, how do you make sure that once you have the content, you are able to make sure that you're able to leverage the content to get as much view and visibility from customers as well. So two key pillars that we see in the market is, one, having a targeted TV approach where you know the power of digital comes when you really know about your end customer. And hence you're looking at marrying the benefits of pay TV where you have the scale, the reach to customers, and have the flexibility of having digital platform. So marrying the best benefits of pay TV and digital platform is what we think as evolution of Cloud TV will be. And there we see four main pillars. One is having the business freedom. Now that you have so much amount of content, you need to have the flexibility of ensuring that you are able to sell content on whichever screen, on whichever business model that you're trying to reach out to the end customer. So that flexibility is what we want to see the being able to offer to customers and to platform owners or content owners to be able to deliver that. Second is modular and tailored experiences. You want to make sure that the experiences each one of us have to increase engagement. You want to make sure that the experience that each one of us has is customized to our behavior. The rails, the choice of content that we need to deliver, the pricing, everything can get more and more micro and granular so that the engagement is much higher and increase to better experience. Third is the ability to deliver features faster. So with the advent of SaaS platforms that we deliver, we see that the ability to innovate and experiment in new, as we are entering uncharted territories, to experiment in new business models, you have to deliver faster and at a reduced cost. This is something that you can deliver with the ability of cloud platform. So we have to create those enablers that will help businesses like Z5, the media and the pay TV operators to be able to innovate and give these solutions faster. Last but not the least, we have seen that with content, the interest is to make sure that you are able to leverage the content because you're competing with the attention of audience. We are looking at an evolution of a phenomena called content as a service. So not only are platforms evolving, we see this happening in Asia, in Korea as well, where content providers are trying to see how they can reach audience through their network, but also make sure that their content can be leveraged across geographies, across different languages, by being able to deliver their content to other platforms as well. So how do you leverage the cloud infrastructure to be able to deliver your content not only to your customers, but also to be able to leverage to other customers? Seem to be another trend where you're able to increase the leverage of your content as well. So going forward, I think two big trends that we see is, one, targeted TV, where you're able to give targeted experiences with the freedom to offer unique experiences to different customers, and content as a service where you're able to offer content across platforms, not only to your customers, but to other customers as well on other platforms to make sure that you're able to increase the return on your content. So with these, I think these are two key enablers that we see for the evolution of OTT going forward.
Yeah, to my right and left, we have two more technology experts. I would like to get a little diversity here. I would like to jump quickly into the content guy. Mr. Pinakin, he's from Nirvana Digital, so he got a lot of content experience. So why don't you share your thoughts about the monetization?
Well, I mean, so how many people don't have any kind of OTT on their phone? I mean, it's after tea, let's try and make this a little more interactive. How many people don't have any kind of OTT? No Z5, no Hotstar, no Amazon, no Netflix. Okay, so that's about 2, 3, 4. So that's less than 10% of the room. So it's sanctum that you guys are consuming the content. Everyone has their own weapon of choice. It could be YouTube, it could be Netflix, it could be Amazon, it could be any of these vehicles that exist. You guys have figured out what you want on each of those platforms. Like Archana was saying earlier, if someone wants maybe just Bengali content, they go to a particular platform. The beauty of it is that you guys have done your research to know which platform to go for which content. Everyone has top 5 favorite shows, right? It's not like they don't. Someone wants to watch something before they go to sleep or when they have free time. From a consumer standpoint, this cannot stop. This will keep going on. The only difference is that if you're consuming from one platform today, you might become a little more favorable to the other platform when something else comes up. Everyone watched, how many people have watched Mirzapur over here? Okay, that's quite a few number of people. How many people have watched Sacred Games over here? Again, okay. See, so the number of people that have watched Sacred Games is way more than the number of people that watch Mirzapur, right? So you all will keep consuming content. It's up to people like us and with technology experts and hopefully better pricing and government support that we can keep delivering more content.
Thanks, man. We have an exciting panelist here, so who probably can relate to most of us. He comes from a technology and has started building a set-top box, and now he's literally taking to the next level, completely transforming the house. I would like to hear some of the things that you bring. You would like to do the presentation?
Yes, I'll run through it.
You'll run through it? Okay. Set it up. In the meantime, ready? I think it's definitely worth the presentation. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having me over. I think very well put by Aruna that this whole story is picking up. But I don't understand the whole concept. I know OTT is a new word, like internet was, IoT was, but it's like how the world is evolving. Netflix came in not because there was a need for it, but it got created because there was a problem with the Blockbuster. You can't buy a DVD and pay 5 weeks rental. Blockbuster made $50 million on rental late fees. They made more money in on late fees than rental. So there was a business case that came in, and that's OTT. I think it's all about the TV also realizing that there was a need for people to watch when, how, at their space. There was just the technology wasn't there. So the PVR came from Tata Sky. A lot of people enabled it, but only few could afford it. That's why it took time. But US markets and all, PVR was actually accepted because consumer wanted to watch at his time and he records it and he comes and watches it. I think OTT went into the next space only because of the whole cloud space opening up, and you could actually put the data out there in a cloud, which initially was a challenge. And that's where technology, for me, has been the enabler, and that's where the whole new end is going to come in. Even in your presentation, when you were showing the new trend, it's all going to be the tech play on the AI or the VR and all. And I was at CES. I think after I came back from 7 days of CES, I actually felt that I should go somewhere because it's just crazy the way the world is heading and where it's heading. I think that's what we've been trying to do. When we are looking at monetization, all of us are trying to say, okay, I've got this content, I need to monetize. It was the same problem which a Z, a Color, and a Star was having in television. And the only way they found was advertisement in markets like India, and in some markets, pay TV. In India, HBO failed because there was no content which people wanted to buy ad-free and pay for it. So it's a market which went into an AVOD sort of the story, where everything was advertising. So everybody is looking at it from a straight point of view that I've created a content, I need monetization. When we look at it from this market, we've been a company who's been selling set-top boxes. We made in India, we've been predominantly in India. I've been a part of this industry since 2004. I have seen that few things haven't changed. As much as the people in this country keep saying that this is a poor country and we always have to sell poor stuff and cheaper stuff, I think it's a value for money country. People, like he said, Sacred Games, how many watched? There was more people who said Sacred Games over Mirzapur Sacred Games comes on Netflix. For God's sake, this is 800 bucks on a Netflix and 1,000 rupees for a year on Mirzapur. That means you watched it on Netflix, which means you paid for Netflix, which is more expensive. So it's not that we'll say, oh, this is a country where people don't want to pay for content. Then it should have been Mirzapur, which everybody should have watched because that's pretty much free and Prime comes in. That's the value. And that's where you have to monetize. That's where the tech guys or the content guys have to work on making content which people say, oh, I want to watch this and I'll pay for it. And if there is a content, if there is a series which I don't want to watch it, it should die. We used to have series running for 3 years. If people are not watching it, it should have died. Same comes for tech. Where we've been playing this is, we understand that this whole VOD space which I'm trying to show is, it's got all exclusive content and all of this growing in. The bigger thing that you're not seeing is that internet penetration has touched 0.51 billion and it's expected to touch 0.85 in next 5 years. By 2025, India will have more internet subscribers than total G7 countries. By 2020, you will have 829 million people watching content or video platform because we are hearing that even the feature phone, a Facebook is coming with a Facebook Lite and it'll have a feature phone videos. That means even a rural segment will be. So the content has to be devised for a rural and a customer market. Monetization of OTT will be on all of these platforms. OTT is just a word. It's all about monetization because if we are in business, we need to make money. We'll start with an OTT platforms making money on content. We'll have devices to enable those platforms. 85% of this country is still not on smart TV. So as much as we keep talking, hearing smart TV, smart TV, smart TV, there's 85% of a 200 million market which still has to go smart. So there'll be devices in all sorts, forms and figures. There'll be the e-commerce, the internet service providers creating business models. There'll be the smart home story. So if you move around in exhibition in the next 2 days, you'll see everybody's talking of smart home. Why are they talking of smart home? How does it make a difference? It's how you can monetize because the customer is going to watch television anyway if you can create a story around it. That's where we started approaching this market. And what we've done is we realized that this is the ecosystem today. These are the OTT devices available. These are the OTT operating systems. I would hedge my bet that on a smart home platforms, there's worldwide so many platforms being made. Then you suddenly see the input of the Amazons, the Googles, the Facebook who are creating a platform. And they're all going to create a story. So I've divided my presentation into a small, I'll run it through, but 2 parts. One part where we just go in for pure OTT. And for me, OTT or a television is just an enabler of you entering a home. The whole world talks of $1 billion valuations on mobile stories because they have touched a consumer. Why are we not still focusing on $1 billion on the television in India? We saw that in US, so Disney buying and all that is the television penetration. The same thing is going to happen here. You as an operator or you as a partner, what do you want? You want to reach a consumer and you want to reach a home. I can bet all of you that you might have apps on your phone, but end of the day, the relaxation of the right television or the right content is still watched on television. And that I want should be seamless. So when I go home, I should just transfer what I'm watching and doing that. So that's why we've divided our tech play into 2 parts. One, a pure OTT or a smart TV device. So we're integrating the Android. We are a Google certified partner. So we are creating a product where we are integrating an Android TV platform onto that. Now what it does is it brings from day one enablers. There's a content which is given because you'll have all the apps available on an Android TV platform. But it also starts bringing in a voice assistant. It starts bringing in pictures, VODs, and a lot of this is being run by Google. You just needs to be a partner to them and start making money out of it. It starts creating a home security story. And why are we scared of making colors of these products? Why do we always say a set-top box is a product which we don't need? We might as well make it beautify and make it colored. So you would be having colors and pinks and green. The story which actually gets created is you make money. I was in US when at CES and I went to a friend's house, Comcast. The guy was paying $300 a month to Comcast because he was getting all of it. Entertainment, triple play, everything. We've been scared or we've been not enabling it because we're saying nobody will pay for it. Have we even tried? The same consumer in each house is getting cameras, putting a security camera, paying for a security camera, a cloud which is not even in India, he doesn't even realize, but he's doing that. Why are the enablers not converting it? Why are the enablers not bringing security aspect into it? You've got the whole entertainment space which can get created into smart lighting, and you've got the whole smart energy space coming in. If I start saving money, ideally OTT content or a linear TV should get funded from all of these places making money for us. That's where an OTT play will happen. An OTT play will not happen only in the set-top box making a non-smart TV into set-top box. There'll also be the smart TV, but the whole platform is what we should focus. And the tech platform on all these devices is going to get standardized over smart TV, non-smart TVs, and it'll be in the forms of dongles, mobile and everything. So that's where we'll be building in that. But the biggest thing which we still lose out in this market is we've had 150 million set-top boxes deployed in this market. We have a big DTH cable industry. And everybody's getting scared that OTT is going to come and all that is going to happen. Yes, it will. It will create a differentiator because we haven't become technology enablers. We haven't changed our thought process of monetizing. So not only we have to get a content better, even for normal linear TV, we need to see how we can monetize. Every time we as an operator or a market sends a consumer a television, we forget that you did what the whole world wants to do. You entered a consumer house. And people will not believe it, but I truly say this line everywhere. Cable TV guy has such a strength that he practically enters your wife's bedroom when you're not at home. He's the only guy. That's the power of confidence and being there. Now, if you are not able to monetize and take a value added of what you've reached, because you kept focusing on a linear TV at 100 rupees and 25 rupees, you haven't realized the value of it. How do you value it? Look at all of this. It might look overbearing, but everything of this is possible. We are actually showcasing this. It's possible. You can start making money on each one of those platforms. And there are partners, technology readily available. We've got it running right now. And that is where you have to stop thinking. Linear TV should ideally, if I start monetizing even 50% of this slide, linear TV, I should probably be giving it free. Which makes sure that my consumer stays where he is. He's not going to go away. Because I give him energy, I give him power, I get him wallet integration. Why can't a consumer who pays from mobile pay while watching television on his TV? And there's a cashback that a mobile company gets as a vote. Why can't the TV guy gets it? That's the whole ecosystem we are creating. That's what we are trying to do. You can create ads. I've been talking to ad agencies. Nothing is more aggressive than a targeted ad. And we are actually going live and we are showing this and we're going live with a few operators. The impact of a targeted ad on a television is multiplier of a mobile ad. Mobile ad, you don't even know whether he watched it or not. Targeted ad, he will watch, he will get a say on it, and the data will say for it because the box is connected. All you need to do is start thinking in terms of technology. You could start creating reports of who's watching and not be dependent on various agencies because this data will speak for itself. And then focus on what consumer is watching. The tariff order coming in is actually a case where this data will tell you what channels I want to watch. And I can actually go to a consumer and say, I want a premium for this channel that you're watching. There is this whole promotion offers which could run. And these are practical. These are nothing very difficult to do. Very simple. QR code, buy it, it's bought. So I think that's where the whole story for me is coming in. I would like to leave you with this small video. That this is where the whole, if you see all of those things, watching the news, Uber to request, they are all business cases to be generated. And this is where we all need to focus and be enablers. The technology is there for us to grab it. We just have to stop thinking that television is probably the only medium of doing all of this. So thank you, and if possible, please visit our booth and you will see these demos actually running live, and these are not demos, these are products which we are going live with. Thank you.
In fact, I would like to second his ideas. Even government is trying to deliver G2C services through the boxes. So these boxes are going to be so powerful, and it will enable even the OTT also. Archana, Hartily. Please go ahead. No problem. Thank you so much, Archana ji. We have 3 more panel members who come from a technology background. Tech has got a lot to do, as I think everybody said. It's not only the CPE, but it's the network, the cloud environment. I would like to have Edwin and Kevin and Manas, would like to share their thoughts about how the tech can enhance the monetization opportunity in India.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edwin. So I'm based in Hong Kong. I work for Harmonic. And so, as you know, with all the ecosystem that we discussed earlier, first we talk about the set-top box itself. So what is relevant for OTT is in the early days, when we look at OTT, it's more about delivery to mobile devices, to PC. However, the screen is much smaller. and people like enjoy watching like YouTube, enjoy watching like the user-generated content on the smartphones. However, now we're moving to the era that for example, most of the OTT operators are bringing the content onto the bigger TV screen. So earlier we talked about the OTT set-top box. Now we see the Amazon Fire Stick. We look at connected TV, and also we look at Apple TV and also the Roku boxes. So people can bring their own device in order to watch the OTT on a much bigger TV screen. So this is where I call OTT 2.0. This is where you need to bring the main screen into your living room and be able to watch the content over the top. And this is where the low resolution of the video will not work anymore. So as Harmonic, we are more the media processing company. We bring the solution here in order to enhance the TV viewing experience with the much bigger TV screen and be able to support UHD or HD 1080p on the big screen. And we have one of the operators, the largest telco in US, that they have started to launch the OTT services. And with other services that they have on DTH and also on IPTV, they also now launch the OTT in, for example, 1080p and the UHD. So for this kind of experience, really help to enhance the quality of experience with the user and be able to enjoy a much better viewing experience and to be on par with the traditional pay TV services. And this is where the monetization can come in. Because in the older days of the OTT, people are really paying for, not willing to pay for the OTT service. But when you now bring that to the big living room and to the living room to watch on the big TV set, this is where you can start monetize and being able to start to discuss about the subscription fee and also the premium on the OTT service that you are offering. And second part of the OTT service is all about sports content. So today there's the big advantage on the OTT service that there's a longer latency when you're watching the live events, such as the Super Bowl, such as the cricket games. However, with the technology, you will be able to now reduce that latency from 30, 35 seconds to now on par with the IPTV, with the broadcast or cable services, down to 4 to 5 seconds. So this is where you can then be able to bring the OTT into the main screen and be able to go against, for example, the DTH services and also the cable services. And lastly, I think here we talk about how to do monetization. However, a big part of the OTT delivery is about the cost of doing the delivery. For example, the CDN cost, and this is a big chunk of money that, for example, if you're offering a premium service or even the freemium service, this you need to pay the CDN operator a big chunk of money for delivery. However, there's technology out there that allow the operator be able to deliver the same video quality, but able to reduce the CDN cost by half. So this is where we are helping also the OTT operators to reduce the OpEx, which can make the OTT services much more affordable and become profitable. So I think these are the two aspects that I want to bring on the table here.
Kevin, please.
Hi, I'm Kevin Hanville. I'm from the United States, and with Crystal, I'm going to talk about the basic monetization issue. Is there's two ways to pay for OTT. You're either a subscription model or you're an ad-based model. And most of you are not delivering your own content, you're delivering somebody else's content. So if you're in an advertising model, and we're seeing this, by the way, globally, you have to be able to replace the ads locally to monetize it. The whole value to an advertiser is the ability to get to that individual on the phone or the iPad or the TV. If you're just delivering the same ad that goes over, say, a national feed or an international feed, there's not extra value to that. But if you give that advertiser that targeted revenue or the targeted customer, we were told by an international auto manufacturer they'd be willing to pay 10 times for that ad. The problem is, for most of you who are delivering ad or delivering content, somebody else's content, is you don't know where those ads are, and you don't know how to replace those ads. If you're delivering an international feed, or any feed that comes over a satellite, if those ads were signaled at one point, they're no longer signaled, so you can't replace the ads. So monetize something if your whole focus should be replacing an ad with a local ad where you don't know where the ad exists. That's where technology now is caught up to we're able to show you how to do that. The other piece that most people tend to, I think, overlook is there's two main issues with OTT technically. One is how do you replace the ad, and the other one is scale. In countries like India, you absolutely have a scale issue. But internationally, where we're seeing the biggest scale issue is live sports. How do you handle a live sporting event? There was just an instance in Australia where they were trying to rebroadcast the Melbourne Cup on a major television station and through OTT, and 300,000 users crashed the system. 300,000 users here in India is a very small number. So you have to be able to not only replace the ads in a live stream, which is even more difficult because those ad times are variable, and you don't know how long they are, but you also have to give that ad decision server the time to be able to replace those ads and deliver them to 1 million, 2 million, or how many users or smartphones. It's like India's got 200 million smartphones. So our position in it is, if you're going to monetize it, you have to replace the ads. If you're not, and you're just delivering somebody else's ads, the advertiser's not going to pay you that value add. Thank you.
Jamanus, please continue.
Okay, so I can say a couple of points what impacts the monetizations. I have worked pretty long in Disney, so I have seen the content world. My recent job in technology. I think content is important. I will not talk about content. I think the next differentiator is creating an experience for the users, which is a viewing experience, or basically using your technology. Just now Kevin mentioned about how you can use your technology to monetize by replacing the ad on the live stream in the sports. The scale is important. I mean, just Kevin, Hotstar did 10 million on the IPL finals. So India do manage the large scale infrastructure is also a problem. 10 million subscribers. So let me touch on a couple of things. When you're looking at a lot of OTT players, how many OTT players you really remember? Handful. You remember because of content. You remember because of the experience, the viewing experience you create. You remember because of the way they use technology, nothing else. So if you want to basically have OTT player and be in the eyes of the customers, you got to have to aside content, it's the viewing experience. I give a couple of good examples for viewing experience. Look at the subtitle of Netflix. It's very different from subtitle for others. Look at Amazon X-Ray, the way they basically do a cast information there. These are the all viewing experience. I can talk about a lot of OTT companies in India. Look at the offline viewing experience. I want to name them, that sucks, a lot of them. Because you have offline content, but you are not able to give a viewing experience. Now, I think one of the panelists talk about how you're going to drive your traffic from the offline to the online. If you're not able to create an offline experience, you can do that. We provided DRM systems. We get you the offline DRM managed. We create an experience for you, manage the content security to do that. Coming to monetization securities. A lot of basically, good example could be Hotstar. You look at a live stream on the sports and cricket, they give you 15 minutes of the premium, then they convert back to the basically paid subscription. It's a very effective use of basically security by getting you basically tagged to using the live stream IPL for 15 minutes, then force you to buy a subscription. Very well done. But there are a lot of OTT companies today who don't have a DRM. So one end you are talking about, you're not getting monetization, but you're not protecting your content streams. So good example is a Hotstar, because you see how smartly they're using a DRM to drive the traffic from the premium model to the basically subscription model. Let's talk about the monetization ad. This is my favorite subject. I look at a lot of people have, and we talked about the panels before this, that we have a lot of inventory available to be monetized. But if you want to work with a lot of DSP, a lot of ad network, then you don't know actually how to pass the information, open RTP information back to a DSP or ad network so that they can give a relevant ad. So the field rate is less because you are not effectively using technology, which can allow you to have a better ad monetization, optimizations. Now my point is that, yes, there is a lot of hurdles you have, but if you can use a smarter way the technology as a DRM, ad monetization, even also knowing the customer, everybody looking at the viewership base. But how will you know the physical customer? Can you translate the viewership information into a behavior of a customer? That's much more harder. See, as long as you can invest in those technology, and that is why all the OTTs, only a few OTTs you remember, because they invest in those technologies.
I think somebody touched upon like how many OTT apps you have on your mobile or so. I mean, it seems like there are top 30. I mean, maybe in India or so. But study shows that 80% of the viewers use only maximum 3 apps. Seems like there's a lot of clutter out there. A lot of clutter in terms of apps. So is this the game of, maybe I would like to ask Pinakin, is this the game of like a top 3 in this OTT market, or is it room for everybody?
So it all depends. It's consumer behavior. Let me just touch upon a couple of things. I mean, we have someone who's a set-top box who can integrate OTT apps into these boxes and build boxes for the future. We have someone who's an ad-serving expert over here and can help with that. We have someone who is a streaming expert and can deliver streaming at a better cost through a better CDN. And someone who's talking about serving more intelligent ads or going out of where we serve ads. So traditionally, let me give you a little bit. Okay, something went wrong. Traditionally, something that we need to explain to you is that we run a major digital distribution network. So if you guys have any kind of content, we can help distribute it, whether it's audio, video, textual, whatever it is. So I basically deal with, let's say, YouTube. Now, as we were explaining earlier also, and since we're at the point of, is it the game of the top 3? The point is that, Sachin, it's going to be like a life cycle. Today, because certain people will have kids in their house, they will favor an app which has more kids content. That will change 1 to 2 years down the line when the kid becomes a little older and he or she might start watching YouTube. Then they will slowly get into more romantic comedy kind of content and start watching either Hindi, English, or whichever language. So you can't say that there is space for the top 3. Now the beauty of all of this is, if you look at Star, you look at Z, you look at all these guys, they have so much offline content. There are people that would want to watch shows that don't exist on TV anymore. How many of you all have like a favorite show that you would like to watch if you had the time? So there are a couple of people. So it's important that this is available in the format that I can access at any given point of time. Today, OTTs work because when people are traveling in the metro, when people are traveling in the train, when they have time, they can plug in their headphones and they can start watching what they want to watch. There's no limit in terms of the number of people that can enter the space, but all of them will not survive. It's not possible for all of them to survive. Everyone will have their own unique point to attract you. There might be a dedicated sports OTT, there might be a dedicated film OTT, there might be a dedicated entertainment OTT, there might go language-wise. So you can't really tell if it's going to be specifically for 3 people or 4 people. Also, what could also happen is that certain people might become just serving everything. So you have to come back to that one app for something or the other. Today, cricket is available on one particular app. So whether you watch anything else on that particular app, you will still go back to that app for cricket. It's like that. My mother wants a particular aarti playing in the morning. So when she's not downloaded it on her phone. She plays it on YouTube every morning. So there is a reason to go back to each and every app. So we can have our favorites, but we'll have them for a reason.
So another pointer that somebody shared during our meet is SWOD and AWOD, which are the primary top 2 revenue models, right? Almost like 50-50. The TWOD is pretty much non-existing or close to 0. I would like to take views from everybody from the panel with the techniques like advanced advertising, improving and all. Do you guys see that it's only a SWOD game, or is it going to be like a AWOD also going to catch up?
So, Sachin, I'll take it from the point where Pinakin left. As he was rightly mentioning, it's not going to be a game of a couple of people deciding on whether these top 3 guys will stay around. What we are also seeing is there is a sense of competition within a certain market and cooperation in the market as well. For example, we see in Korea that a bunch of local players compete against each other in the same market, but when they have to target customers in the US, they cooperate together. I think a similar model will come back where operators in India will as well open up to a platform of a platform model, where you would be able to, at one sense, target your customers through content on your platform, but be able to incorporate and serve your content to other customers as well and get content from other partners as well. Having said that, in India at least, it's been very clear that it always starts with an award model because it's still in experimentation phase. We are still figuring out what kind of models work. We were just talking to Archana before this session. We are seeing ad networks evolving. So initially it was with likes of Google DFP. Now Facebook Audience Network is picking up. There is a glut of inventory, so you want to make sure that you are able to get the best rate for your content available across networks. So it always seems to start with AVOD, go to a freemium model, and then evolve to an SVOD model. It needs to be a mix of both before you can actually get customers attracted to your content.
Okay. Everybody agree with Vaidyanathan? Because I want some diversified views here. Because SVOD seems like one of the predominant models so far. Like Netflix making money, nobody cares how much money they're charging, but so far content is king.
The problem is that nobody knows how to monetize an ad. Yeah. There's only two big guys doing it.
Exactly.
That's what the problem is.
They
it's
are
not
the
that people don't
making
do it.
money, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the other thing is AVOD versus SVOD is that their Indian customers love everything free. I saw a lot of people that put up their hands saying that they had watched Sacred Games, but I'm quite sure all of them have not paid the subscription. Kahin na kahin dost say torrent, something or the other has happened, right? We all love free stuff. That's why AVOD will survive. It's not like AVOD will not survive. The premium content might start getting available on AVOD as well. We have to see how the market reacts to it. SVOD, people will pay for, let's say for example, you want to do education and maybe GCSE, ICSE, SSC syllabus is only available on a particular app. You will pay that subscription even if it's more because it's education. And that's how Indians think. There's no gain like a bargain. Education at all costs is generally free.
So what we're seeing internationally is because there's such a proliferation of apps, people started cutting the cable because it got very expensive. And now you're paying for Netflix, and you're paying for HBO Go, and you're paying for Amazon, and it starts getting to the point where you're paying so much for all your different apps that you start dropping them, and it's just the nature of the market. What we're seeing is a move back towards advertising because the public's pushing back on so many of the subscription models. I think Hulu, for example, you pay for Hulu, or now you can watch movies for free, but you have to watch ads. So we're seeing a movement back towards ads because the public's tired of paying all these subscription fees.
One of the areas that we tend to forget is that it's not about AVOD, SVOD, it's about honestly going to go back if you're looking only at the OTT. So Hotstar, their first claim to fame of why people actually subscribe were Games of Thrones. So till that didn't happen, nobody was going there. Then you found where is Game of Thrones, it was on Hotstar. You paid for premium. Most people I've met, they said, oh, I forgot that it was for 1 month and I ended up paying for the year because I had paid 99 and had connected to my card. Now, you will say, oh, this is an SVOD case. Well, this is not, they just forgot. The business cases, so I think we are going to the same story when TV came. There was the Gulf War and the channels and all that happened and everybody found a space for themselves. What you are asking is top three. There'll be top three, but there'll be top three of each genre. There'll be a top three who will probably have the right content in terms of movies. There'll be top three who's very good for kids content. I would probably compromise on my Netflix, but my kid, if he comes in and tomorrow says, I want this app and I'm paying for $5 because I like this content, you might just agree. As he said, education might get created. I think this world will also get created on stories. The challenge is for these people to actually survive. What happens when GOT season finishes? How do I make sure that the guy stays on? Right now, yes, he stayed on because he probably forgot, but the more people get aware, and that's what I'm saying, I think even as what you said, we like to watch free TV, is the reason why if you read every day in newspaper, people saying, I don't want tariff order. Because, oh, I'll have to pay for my content. Seriously, we pay more for apps, but we don't want to pay for what we watch. And entertainment, television is the single point entertainment in all our lives. So I think it's not going to be AVOD, SVOD, it's going to be hybrid. There'll be stories that get created. So a Hotstar will be very good when it's AVOD, but then suddenly something like GOT comes in, I'll pay SVOD. And that's how the story will get evolved. I think we've just started on the journey. There's going to be a lot more happening over the next few years.
So it seems like it's all about content and that can bring either a subscription or higher ARPU. So the point now is, how do you get that you have a good content? How do you get your word out, right? What's the best marketing strategy for the OTT guy? Is it like a social, or is it like expand your app into multiple networks? What do you guys think about the best marketing strategies that's working today? Anybody? I
guess the person who had to answer left. She understands that space. I think it's like food. You smell and you reach a restaurant which you like. A lot of people are, I find, watching their content is by word of mouth. Or did you watch that series? The new word in happening these days is the binge watching. It's a weekend, let me just watch. You watch one episode, you end up watching a season. A lot of French talk, I'm surprised when my 13-year-old kid comes and tells me what series which I believe and I'm hoping she doesn't know about. But I guess it's out there. Again, it's a money game right now when you look at it. Look at the kind of money that Netflix, Amazon, all these guys are spending. When they're going to spend that much of money on content, they're going to spend much more on getting it out there. It's just catching up. I'm sure the first thing we all see is when you enter a plane, the moment they say, seatbelts off, electronics off, everybody takes out the phone. And then to the 2 hours, nobody picks their head. I've seen people look at the other guy and ask him, "Ye kaun sa hai?" So they're going to go back and want to watch that. So I think it's just catching up. And as she said very well, it's all catching up because of that one device.
Guys, I think we are talking between ourselves, but we do want to talk with you. It should be an interactive session. You really have an eminent panel here. I mean, you could ask questions now, even offline too. I could see a lot of people who I can relate to comes from the content background, network background and all. Now the floor is open for the audience to ask any questions. See, the quality of experience is a big deal, guys. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ashish from Samsung. So you guys have given me a good exposure about how the monetization situation is, what would be the trend coming forward. But there's nothing we have discussed in terms of from the customer point of view. We have spoken that 3 apps or it's based upon a particular content. But over the period of time in the last 5 years, everyone have pulled off their content from YouTube as such and create their own OTT platform. But from the customer point of view, picking a 1 app, 2 app, 3 apps, or paying for a particular a subscription-based model. So it's becoming very difficult. So what is the future in terms of from the customer point of view that, okay, I want to watch one serial from Amazon, the other from the Netflix. Is there some hybrid model coming from different OTT platforms together and giving some more value to the customer hand where he's willing to pay maybe 1,000 rupees, but where it's coming from a multiple platform together?
Hey, do you have 2 SIM cards or 1 SIM card?
I have 1.
You have 1. Okay, theek hai, bach gaya. So, okay, let me explain it to you this way. In case Amazon and Netflix don't cooperate with each other and say, okay, do some kind of barter. Today, if you're an Airtel customer, you get Amazon free, right? If you do a certain amount of billing with them or if you have a certain packet. So if you have an Airtel SIM card and you've got Amazon free, then you can afford to pay for Netflix. You can think about it from that standpoint. Okay, there will be lots of bundling that will happen. There will be lots of freebies that will happen. It could be through his boxes. It could be through mobile operators. It could be through any kind of high value purchase that you've made. I think credit card companies are now saying if you spend X amount, we'll give you a Netflix, per month thing free. Think about it this way: that you've saved on 1,000 rupees per month. So there will be crossbreeding from a consumer standpoint. Look, you are the guy that needs to choose where you want to spend your money. Again, we're in India, we love free stuff. You will figure out a way how to get it for free if you don't want to pay for the other app. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's not like you won't figure it out. What else do you mean from a customer standpoint? From a consumer standpoint, I have everything in front of me. I have to decide what to consume first and how much I'm willing to pay for it.
So I think one of the question or one of your worries, and which is most people have this confusion, is I want to watch this movie, I don't know in which app it is. I keep getting this question that, I don't know, I'm trying to search a movie, whether it's on Netflix. Is that one of your main concern as a consumer?
Not only about the discovery of the content, but I know that particular content is on maybe a Hotstar or Eros or a Z5. but I cannot subscribe or I cannot keep 5 apps with me because it doesn't make value for me.
Yeah, so again, look it from the other side of the story, right? So as much as we also keep hearing that it's getting better and getting smarter, there is a lot of data that's coming in of who's watching what and all. But from a content app company who's bought that content and has brought it to you, you want to say that, I want it on, I don't want to subscribe to it. If you don't want to subscribe to it, there's always offline. You can't have the cake and the pie and everything. That's where when she was sharing those figures of bleeding of 1.5 billion, 8 billion, that's the problem. Because as a consumer, what he said, we're getting too ready for free. And we didn't expect OTT to go free, but even that's gone that way. People are just loving it. So suddenly I find that Alt Balaji charges 99, but it's free on a Jio. So I take it out and I go to Jio. Right? Because people are smart. They'll find their ways. Now it's for the other side also to start finding ways and a partnerships model there. So it'll always be a continuous fight. And as far as finding content across ecosystem, I think you got to wait, because the way you search your content on your phone, it shows you all the 5 options. It'll happen, it'll get better. In fact, where we are heading in the next year is when you enter your house, a TV, the screen, the camera on your television will detect that you're the guy. And the content that which you liked yesterday will start playing from there, because probably you paused it at 1 minute, 50 seconds. That's where we are heading, and that's going live. It's not like I'm telling you a dream story, but that's going live. That's where we are heading in terms of tech. But when you're talking of content and you say, I don't want to pay and subscribe for it, my friend, is always offline. That's why you online came in.
So firstly, whatever scenario Amit mentioned, if the camera is watching me through the day, I'm really scared about it. I don't want to be in that scenario. But adding to that, I think this scenario is becoming realistic on the set-top box side, and Amit is doing a lot of work in that area as well, where we know that currently partnerships are being developed where if you want to search content across players that is being offered by your service provider, is going to happen in the very near future. On the mobile front, it's a bit more of a sticky thing. I don't think it's going to happen right away. But on the set-top box side, we work with customers who are offering Netflix plus Amazon as well. I think it's going to see it very quickly. Plus their own content available, and you can search through all of them, and you can choose among what preference you have and which one you want to take from that. So it's going to happen pretty quickly here.
Sorry, Ashish, right? Ashish. From a consumer's perspective, there is a solution for that. There's a gentleman who's come out with a search engine for apps and apps content. All you have to do is say that you want a particular movie. It will tell you on which app it's playing, and chances are you paid him 1,000 rupees rather than paying 5 people. So he would then do a partnership like they talked about, and he would then pay that content owner the money that he owes them from your side. So there is a solution out there. He's building his partnerships. It will take a little time. He wants to be the Google of app content. So just wait a bit till he gets all that data into his.
But there'll still not be free lunch.
It isn't free. You're still paying. He's willing to pay 1,000 rupees as a subscriber, and that money is going to be shared accordingly, content-wise.
Okay, please go ahead. Can somebody get a microphone there, please?
So I am Gaurav Gupta, and I belong to a telecom background. My question is this: before OTT monetization, what is the strategy, best strategy for the tapping the bottom of the pyramid? Because there are huge, as far as the India is concerned, many people are still away from internet, or they have an internet up to a basic level, but enjoying on Netflix, Hotstar, good quality phone, connectivity, some money in their pocket. So what should be the best strategy for bottom of the pyramid customers?
OTT for bottom of the pyramid. Any guys?
So, are you talking from a handset side and operator side? Let's be a little specific so I can...
I'm talking from the pocket of the customer side.
Okay.
If he's a very low type of customer,
okay,
10,000 rupees per month,
okay,
type of earning customer, 12,000, that's all.
Well, that's already been, that part of the pyramid is already very intelligent. For your information, we were having this conversation earlier. Like first, between the watchman and the liftman and all the that income group people, they used to share on SD cards or via Bluetooth, where one person had to be the smart person and they would share the films amongst each other. Now they don't do that. Now because they have geo packs and because they have cheap data, they're just watching it anyways. The only thing that you can do is to further increase that penetration is give them freebies on that. For example, there is some Bhojpuri songs, there are some Maithili songs, there are a bunch of dialects which you will not find on these OTTs anyways. That's available on YouTube. If you guys as an operator or someone who from a consumer standpoint figures out where that content stands and someone can subsidize that and give it to them, they'll be happy to watch 2 ads, yeah. You see, it's not like you can't have a touch point with them.
We have a technology which has enable people in the remote villages, towns, access the content through buses, trains, malls, restaurants. I think that you have a very valid point, because while we have been engaging too much in online world, there is a wide range of people out there who need to access the content, and they don't have access to the bandwidth, they don't have access to the money. That's where the next level evaluation is the basically local CDN, how we can basically get an experience of the CDN, give the same kind of experience at a much lower cost to the consumers to talk to us. We can basically explain you some of the technology available to make it work. That's key too. There is no way online, no matter how much of bandwidth, 4G, 5G, you can approach a guy in the remote village or be Andaman Nicobar or an island. The bandwidth will always be limited no matter what happens. The technology has to evolve there and make it happen. We do that. Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a tech change and marketing change. Like you had in telcos, when you started from 16 rupees and incoming to sachets, there'll be sachets package here also. Why can't you have a prepaid where a guy says I paid up $50 and that's the content I'm ready to watch. That's my budget, right? So there could be a week's package I can watch an hour. Right. So again, what we've been discussing is this is a trend which is changing. I met somebody who was bringing in internet download speed where he actually showed me 548 MB file downloaded in about 2 seconds. Right. Now, his business model is I'm standing at a coffee line in Starbucks and line is 20 minutes. I might as well download a couple of movies, and Starbucks gets a revenue of the one you downloaded because that's data point. There's going to be a crazy influx, right? So data has moved. What she said very beautifully is 200 rupees to 6 rupees. I think that's already happening. We're touching the pyramid. Geo feature phone is going to have a WhatsApp. The moment you crash WhatsApp to that level, you can imagine the videos will start flowing in. The Lite, Facebook Lite and all these are coming in. It's a matter of time. There's a lot of tech people here who are trying to crash the speed, making it convenient. The business model guys will create business models around it. It's just that it's happening and it's going to happen much faster. So we just be ready for that.
Okay, that's a good ending. Yeah. Last question, please.
Hello. Hi, my name is Naveen. We have talked about the OTT platform like Hotstars of the world spending a lot and having losses. Maybe because they are spending a lot on content and monetization is not possible. But how many of them are incurring, what is the technology spent? Are they going to spend more on the technology and create a point of difference with other OTT platform? Is technology spent a point of difference for them in 2019 and 2020 to come? That's my question.
Is there any study like percentage of revenue versus technology? What is the technology spent per each?
So I think this is more of a generic question. Like, let's think about it this way, that you're a car manufacturer and someone else is also manufacturing a car. How much money do you want to spend on fine-tuning your engine? What is your priority? Do you want to deliver more speed? Do you want to deliver better mileage? What part or what aspect of the tech inside the car do you want to concentrate on? But you can't really do that because each car has a different selling proposition to you today, right? So it's not about tech, coming back to the OTT part or any kind of content play, or even for that matter, even a film. How do they decide कि special effects पे इतना खर्ची करना है? That's tech, right? Think about it from that standpoint. How do they decide that We have to spend this much on production, this much on special effects, this much on marketing. This is what our margins are. So they know what they're doing. They have enough data. All these OTT guys will suddenly realize, okay, I don't want to cater to this customer, I want to cater to this customer, and they will build their tech accordingly. The beauty of it is that with the experts on the panel, they are telling you in advance that we have the tech to crack XYZ problems. These are the problems that we might face. That's where we are going.
I'll give you an example. There was an era when Indian film industry was going through a tough period. A picture would not hit or any movie will come with people dancing around and that's it. But that was an era nobody's investing in tech, and any actor, there's only 1 or 2 actors, it's either an Amitabh movie or there's no other movie. Because the ticket price was 5 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees. The moment they all went up to the hundreds and the 200s, look at the kind of tech they're investing in movies. That's the analogy. If OTT guys are going to make money, tech has to happen. If I take an IPL sports right, I can't not have tech because people touch 100 million on a final match. Right? This World Cup will probably crash all numbers in the coming next few months. How can I not invest in tech? Because if my site cries, or as he said in Australia, 300K crashed. How can you not invest in tech, and especially in a platform which works on a tech? So I think that's a no-brainer. It's just that who's going to have, that's why we keep saying it's a big money pocket. That's why you lose $1.8 billion. You don't lose it only on content. It's a complementary thing. So you can't have an OTT story which is living on a cloud and not invest in tech. It's just going to be a matter of fact of how, and the challenge for all of us to make sure that the tech costs less so that they can optimize it and put more content and spend more on content, because their true business is content. But tech spending will obviously be a very, very big factor. How much? I think she's the best person who would have answered.
Excellent, guys. Hope this discussion helps you. Thank you, speakers. It's a great discussion. Honor to moderate this session. I would like to close this session.
I sincerely thank all my panelists and speakers on behalf of Exhibitions India Group for your valuable time, and appreciate the efforts involved. I would now request Mr. Tummala to please hand over a token of appreciation to all the panelists. Mr. Kevin Hanville, Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Crystal, USA. Can we have a round of applause, please? Mr. Manas Ranjan Mati, VP Strategy and Business Development, Intertrust Technologies India Private Limited. Mr. Amit Kharbanda, Managing Director and CEO, MyBox Technologies. Mr. Pinakin Thakkar, CEO, Nirvana Digital. Mr. Edwin Koo, VP Sales, South and Northeast Asia, Harmonic. Mr. Vaidyanathan Ramachandran, Managing Director, Kaltura Media and Telecom. Now I will take the privilege to hand over the memento to Mr. Tummala on behalf of Exhibitions India.